And we'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Liam. In terms of how the offensive line is playing, I'm curious how you guys have treated the success of the running game. Is it more rewarding to have a big game in the running game? Does that give you guys more confidence afterward and going into the next week?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's important, just kind of having momentum going into the next week. Florida State had good defensive linemen, good ends, good interior guys, good linebackers. So, it was definitely nice running the ball well. But at the same time, Louisville's completely different. It's structured completely different. So, we just gotta. It was nice, kind of like 24-hour rule. It was kind of nice having that game and running the ball well, but we got to move on and look forward now,
We'll go next to Andrew Mentok.
Coming into Notre Dame, how much did the success of the left tackles before you, I guess at that time it would have been Ronnie Stanley and Zach Martin, play into your decision to want to come to a place like Notre Dame? And how much does that, is that prestige of that position, especially under Brian Kelly, motivate you currently?
Yeah, it was kind of, coming in, it was kind of, Coach Heastan being here and kind of the culture that he implemented. And then, meeting and interacting with the guys. Mike was here, Zach was here, Ronnie was here, and Q was here. And like all those guys I met, it was just kind of like, they do anything for this program and especially for each other on the offensive line. So, when I got injured, there was no thought in my mind that was like, I want to stay out for the whole game. Like my first thought was I need to go back in the game. Because it's you gotta take care of business no matter what. So that's like the biggest thing. And I can tell you a lot of guys have dealt with a lot of things in past seasons, and they were able to be out there. So I felt like it was no exception for me.
And Liam, our last question is via chat from Anthony Anderson, who is having some audio problems. Distinguishing between run and pass blocking, how would you say you all rate as a group in each? And secondly, given how highly you are regarded as a group, does that put more or less pressure on each of you individually?
Dr. Salking always talks about how pressure is a privilege. So that's kind of the way we take it. Obviously we need to improve on a lot of things, but I think pass protection has been solid. I think our run game is getting a lot better, as you guys can see. So we just gotta, I think we need to improve a lot in both areas. It's just a lot of technique needs to be cleaned up and a lot of fundamentals and, assignments as well. So, there's always room to improve, but I think we're going in the right direction. We just need to keep going.
All right. That's all we have for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll continue in a few moments with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand.
I gotta hear these people. Then they can hear me now, though.
All right, we will go ahead and get started. Our first question for you is from Pete Sampson.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about Kyren Williams. You've practiced against him for a couple of years. Just what kind of back is he? What makes him difficult to deal with if you're a linebacker or a defender trying to tackle him?
Well, first and foremost, Kyren has come a long way. He's a very dedicated guy, a very honest guy to his process. In the offseason, he took the time to work out. Even with the quarantine and the COVID-19 situations, took the time to work out, took the time to work on the explosiveness. And that's the word that you hear when you hear Kyren. just explosiveness, being able to shift, being able to go 1 to 100 real quick. So I think that's what it is.
We'll go next to Michael Ferrara.
Jeremiah, last week you guys faced Florida State with the freshman who started. Now you're going against Louisville with a veteran quarterback. How do you guys prepare going from a mobile quarterback from from a freshman to a veteran? And what's your favorite part about being part of this defense?
Referring to the first question, we prepare just like we prepare for any other quarterback. There's a few adjustments, there's a few tweaks, but in the overall process, you want to treat everybody the same. In terms of competition, Coach Lee always tells us, the duty as a competitor is to respect all your opponents, and that's what we try to do. We'll make a few adjustments, we'll make a few tweaks, covering the perimeter, making sure that we contain the pocket. But even in that sense, we want to treat everybody, as they are the best.
And I believe the second part of the question was, what do you like most about being part of this defense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The best part of being about this defense, being in this defense is, you have a lot of guys that team chemistry on this defense, I believe, is better than any of the other defenses that I've been around. Guys get together on the off season, guys get together, when we're not on the field. Even on the field, guys, we make a little slang, motivational comments to go on the field every day, in and out, certain stuff like that. So the best part being about this defense is the brotherhood, for sure.
All right, we'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Jeremiah, at this point last year, I don't think you were involved in the dime. I'm not even sure if in the nickel defense. Where did you grow enough in your understanding of Coach Lee's scheme to where now you're a guy that does not come off the field?
Just getting the understanding of the base defenses first, and being able to understand my position and where I belong at on the field. So now the progression with me is the IQ. Now that I have understood the scheme more, Coach Lee feels more comfortable with me playing the dime positions, even with some of the covering getting better, even with some of my pass rush getting better. He feels more comfortable and more able to put me at different positions. So.
And the next question will be from Mark Skoll.
Hey, Jeremiah. Obviously, you delivered some big hits on Saturday, but we asked Coach Kelly on Monday about what kind of the things that maybe people don't notice about you as much, and he said your coverage, your pass rushing ability, and your job on special teams. I'm just curious, what part of your game do you take the most pride in?
I take the most pride in, I'm not a big cocky guy, but I don't take the most pride in any particular part of my game, but I love pass rushing. I love the ability to, say that I got to the quarterback or I beat the man one-on-one. And I think that's, key part in the development and even the scheme of the defense is, the quarterback is the most important person on the field. So if you get to him, you can stop the play. And I think that's one of the, things that I love the most. Also special teams as well, but I think pass rushing, being able to get the quarterback and interrupting the play, I think that's the most fun part about the defense. So.
And we will go next to Tom Noy.
Jeremiah, I know it's only 3 games in, but can you assess the defense and what you guys have been able to do so far?
Well, there's been some bumps and there's been some highs. There's been some lows and highs. So, one game we may be good, another game we may, have some things to correct. And that's the process of, being a defense, being, people in ourselves, being imperfect. Each time the glory about it is, you get another game. We're grateful for that. We get another opportunity to go back to the drawing board and to adjust with certain things. But I would say that our D-line is doing a wonderful job. Our secondary is doing a wonderful job. The linebackers, we always love to say, hey, the job is not finished. We are still growing. We still have somewhere to be. So when I look at this defense, all I see is a progression in itself.
Our next question is from Andrew Mentok.
Obviously, you're focused on the season at this point, but just looking at like some NFL mock drafts and stuff. That's definitely something that seems to be in your future. Being on the lighter side at around 215 pounds, how do you think your game translates to the next level?
Well, in terms of, the glory that's been given, all praises to the Most High. But in terms of, my progression to the next level, I think it's very important. I talked to Coach Lee and I talked to Coach Kelly a lot about this. It's very important that I stay in the now. Even with, all the watch list finalists and things like that, it's very important that we continue to worry about how my weight is now, worry about, how the team is doing now, worry about, the overall, development of our unit. So with all due respect, in terms of that question, we are worrying about the now. Thank you.
And we'll wrap it up with this last question from Angelo DiCarlo. He says, when you make a big hit, what is that feeling like? Do you feel the energy directly, or do you notice it more when you see how your teammates or how the fans react?
When you make a big hit, you don't want to celebrate right away. You want to make sure your body's fine in itself. But the energy automatically flows. When things like that happen, you hear the audience, you see your teammates running over, you want to celebrate with them, and it's all fun and games at that point. But you always got to make sure that you reset because the next play is coming up. So.
All right, and that's all we have for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And in a few moments, we'll continue with Tariq Bracy. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, Tariq, we will go ahead and get started. Your first question is from Miles Garrett.
Hey, Tariq. Coach Kelly said that he wanted to see some improvements out of the defense this week after he said what was kind of some carelessness this past weekend. What have you guys seen, at a practice that you guys are trying to improve this week against Louisville?
We just trying to stay focused, play out duration of practice, just stay focused and know what our assignment is and just be on tight with everything.
And we will go next to Pete Sampson.
Tariq, I think pretty much from the time you showed up, the coaches were trying to, get you to put on weight, get bigger, get stronger. I was curious about just sort of that challenge, why that's been such sort of an ongoing thing, and did you feel like you made a bit of a breakthrough this offseason where you're stronger out there, can be even more explosive?
Yeah, it was a problem for me to put on weight early on, but I got with the nutrition staff and Coach Bayless, and they really helped me put on the weight I need. And I'm looking to put on more weight, but yeah, I've made a huge improvement since freshman year.
We'll go next to Carter Carls.
Yeah, Tariq, just on top of that, was there anything that you did differently diet-wise, workout-wise, that helped you push through a little bit and get to a point where you were good physically and gaining that weight you liked?
Yeah, a lot of the diet and just continuing to work out, getting the extra meal in, extra snacks.
And we'll move next to Lou Samoji.
Hey, Tariq, you weren't able to play against South Florida. You were unavailable there. And then you guys pretty much are canceled for about 9-10 practices there. I know you guys don't like to make excuses, but how much of an effect did that have as far as timing, rhythm, and all, with all that time you missed as well, individually and then collectively as a team against Florida State?
I mean, obviously you get away from football for a few days, weeks. You're not gonna play the same at first, but once we got into the game, we started get a rhythm, and we were able to win the game. So yeah, obviously it does, but like you said, we don't really want to make excuses for that.
We'll move next to Tim O'Malley.
Hey, Tariq, after playing nickel your freshman year, you settled in pretty quickly to the field position. What is it about your game that makes you a natural field corner? It's something Sean Crawford once said, since he's played basically everywhere, that you need to be a little bit football intelligence is important at that position.
Yeah, definitely having football IQ, and I like to pride myself on being able to guard receiver, become a shutdown corner. And I played baseball in high school, so I was able to flip my hips pretty fluidly playing center field. So I think that came translated to playing field corner.
And next, we'll go back to Carter Carls.
Tariq, how did just seeing the field early, getting those snaps, and then learning from Julian Love, Troy Pride, how did that help you to where you are now in your development?
Yeah, it definitely helped. I mean, watching older guys play and understand the game, and then just being out there early on, you get a feel for the speed of the game. And once you get older, you kind of see some of the same routes. It's at the end of the day, it's football. So, yeah.
All right, and if you do have another question, we'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Hey, Tariq, on sort of working with Nick McLeod, why do you feel like that's a good tandem? When he's out there with you, and how is his skill set maybe different than what you or Sean or even Clarence are bringing to the table?
He's a taller corner, so I mean, he's very good at the boundary, and like you said, we have a lot of good corners on his roster, so we all complement each other some way, some form. So yeah, he's definitely a great addition to the squad.
And we will wrap it up with Tim Priester.
Tariq, could you comment on Clarence Lewis and what he's done to put himself in position to play, and how you think he's been able to adapt so quickly and put his name in the running?
I mean, he's just showed up at practice, and the coaches noticed that, and other players have noticed that. So, I mean, he's going to get a chance to play. So I can't really speak on that, but he's performed in practice, and he's done his thing to get on the field.
All right, and that is all we have for you. Thank you very much, Tariq. And in a few moments, we'll continue with Sean Crawford. So go ahead and raise your hand if you do have a question. All right, Sean, we'll go ahead and get started. Your first question is from Tim Priester.
I didn't raise my hand, but I'd be happy to talk to you, Sean. Just bouncing around the secondary. What's that been like? I know once you moved to safety, you figured you would settle in there, and you were back at corner. I guess your background helps you be able to go from position to position.
First of all, it's an honor to have the trust from my teammates and from my coaches to be able to move around midweek and whatever
position fits the scheme best that week. But for me, it's motivation. It's kind of I was talking to Coach Lee about this actually today. It's a little frustrating, but the frustration motivates me. It drives me, just because just moving to different positions, just trying to still get familiar with safety. And going back to corner was a little different, just because I've been at safety, seeing the game from a different angle, playing things a little different. So going back to corner was a little frustrating, but I took that as a challenge. It was something that I was experienced with. It was something that I was comfortable with. So when I was out there, I told myself that I was going to play fast. I was going to try to go make some plays and just be aggressive as I can to help the team out and win. But just having the ability to do that, I just got to thank God. Just got to thank all the coaches for the preparation that went in throughout the weeks to put me in great position to play corner.
We'll go next to Miles Garrett.
Hey, Sean, now that you guys have Kyle back to full strength, what is it, or how helpful is it to have, you yourself and Kyle at full strength going against another, dual threat quarterback again this weekend, and how can that help your defense?
It's fun. Playing back there with Kyle is a great opportunity. It picks up my game. I'm sure I try to pick up his game, but just the communication back there is getting better. It's continued to progress throughout the season. And just the more games and the more practices that we could get under our belt together on the field together, it's just going to help us throughout the year. So being back there with Kyle and being back there with someone who has a lot of game experience and a lot of playmaking ability just enhances my game and just allows me to play a little bit faster because having him next to me, I trust him. I trust that he's going to make me right if I'm wrong. And also just the guys that we have behind us. Those are DJ Brown, Houston, KJ. Those are also great guys, great playmakers. And so it allows us to be on our stuff. When we go out there and practice, we got to be sharp because we know we have backups who are eager to play, who are just as talented, and like I said, eager to play. So whenever we go out on the field together, we try to be sharp, we try to be crisp, and just try to complement each other's game.
All right, we'll go next to Doug Farmer.
Sean, taking a look at the bigger picture, you've been at Notre Dame for 6 years now. Counting your recruiting, you can say 7 seasons that you've been keeping a close eye on Brian Kelly. You're one of few people who's been there for more than half his time. How has he changed from your viewpoint from 2014 or 2015 to now?
I would just say the consistency. He's definitely built relationships with all of his players. He's interacting with the entire squad more. We feel like, well, speaking from my experience, I feel like I have a great relationship with Coach Kelly. I'm able to go up and talk to him about anything and call on him if I need anything. And he's willing to check on me, and I know he's always willing to check on other guys. And so just throughout the years, we've won a lot of games, and I think that's come from just the trust from both sides, the trust from the staff and the trust from the players. And I think we have a good relationship. We have a good bond between the two. And I think that starts with Coach Kelly, getting the right coaching staff in here, recruiting the right guys, just being just being a well-oiled machine, I guess. It's just, you can just see the program shift really over the years, and just the talent that we're getting, the players that we're getting, and also just the coaches that we're getting. I think the coaches complement the players well, and I also think the players complement the coaches well. And so when you have that type of bond and you have Coach Kelly who's at the top, able to make those decisions and put the coaches in the right position, put the players in the right positions, then you naturally just build a trust. And when you have trust between the two, you ultimately just go out there and play fast and lay it on the line for one another.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Sean, can you kind of describe what practice was like when you guys first came back after that time off, and specifically in the cornerback, defensive back room where Coach Kelly told us you guys had a lot of guys that were out until late last week.
Well, at the beginning, it was just let's just get back on the field. Let's just get moving around, get your footwork down, get the base calls in, and just run around, play fast. We emphasized conditioning just because we knew, especially playing Florida State, we knew they were going to go tempo. So we wanted to make sure that our conditioning level was up, that we got in the weight room a little bit more than we usually do during a game week. So we wanted to just make sure that our conditioning level was up and that our strength was up, and that was because that's key before getting on the field. So we made sure that was good, and then as people were getting back, we just kind of filled them in. As we know, everyone's been using Zoom a lot this year, and so with everyone being familiar with Zoom, it was kind of pretty easy to have guys who were out Zoom in the meetings. Have guys still being able to connect with the team and be a part of all the meetings and get the new calls and the new adjustments and things like that just through Zoom. So people were still connected to the team and connected to the cornerback room especially. But it was a different experience because you'd go out there and you wouldn't have the full squad, so you kind of get a little bit more reps. But for me, going back to corner, I needed those reps. And so that was something that I took advantage of. And then when the guys came back, we made sure that their conditioning level was up, their strength level was up, because that's important right now. We have to worry about everyone's health before we can put them on the field and before we have to worry about winning games. And so once we knew their health levels was good to go, we put them right back in the position that they were in to help the team.
All right, and we will wrap it up with that. Thank you very much, Sean. We'll continue in a few moments with Kyle Hamilton. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, Kyle, we will go ahead and get started. Your first question is from Patrick Engel.
Hey, Kyle, what kind of influence or mentor was Alohi for you last year, especially now as you kind of look at it when you're going into more of that do everything safety role where you've blitzed more, played center field, all kinds of things, and kind of evolved in a role from last year?
Yeah, he had a big influence on the player I am today. He's a great guy on and off the field. He was my roommate on the road and at home in the hotel. So we got to spend a lot of time not on the practice field, not in the locker room, just talking. And he taught me a lot of life lessons along with football stuff. And I mean, I just try to emulate the good parts of his good traits that he has and then apply them to myself. So I feel like he's had a big influence on me on the field and more importantly off the field.
All right, your next question is from Tim Priester.
Cal, I wonder what your first reaction was when you were listed as a 3-star prospect, or did you not fully understand how good you were at that point? And when people portray you as a star, do you feel that way, or do you feel like you're trending in that direction?
When I first saw I was a 3-star, I was excited. I hadn't really played football. I mean, played football, but I hadn't really been on the recruiting trail, been at camps and stuff like that. So I didn't really get caught up in stars like that, but I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually like on a website. It was kind of eye-opening. And obviously I'm here today, but yeah, it's just as in terms of people saying like I'm a star or whatever, I think that's good and all, but I try not to get caught up in that. I try not to look too much into social media and stuff like that. Just try to be myself and keep down the path that I'm going, because distractions all they do is just slow me down. So I feel like if I just stay to myself and follow my orders and do my job, I feel like I'll be successful.
We'll go next to Miles Garrett.
Hey, Kyle. Coach Kelly said you guys need to make some improvements on defense this week, and I know you guys had a really good second half against Florida State. But as a guy who's sort of, the quarterback of the secondary, what sort of improvements do you guys need to make this week to prepare for, another dual threat quarterback that Louisville has?
I think it all starts in practice, honestly. Last week we had a couple of days where we had iffy practices, and we can't really afford that because we have 2 long practices, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday is kind of a shorter walkthrough type, and then Friday nights just meetings and stuff. So I think it all starts in practice, and we can't really waste a period. So I think taking that and working hard in those practices will only make the game easier for us.
We'll go next to Hayden Adams.
Hey, Kyle. Someone asked Sean Crawford about what it's like playing next to you in the secondary. So what's it like having played behind a couple of veterans last year, playing next to a sixth-year guy like Crawford this year?
I mean, it kind of makes you feel like safe in a sense. They know what they're doing. Alohi and Jalen knew what they're doing. Sean knows what they're doing. So it kind of elevates my game. I need to be on the same level that they were at, or that Sean's at right now. And he holds me accountable. I hold him accountable. And I think it's not really like a father-son kind of relationship. I feel like we're both working together, and we both respect each other equally. And we're bouncing off each other. We're bouncing ideas off each other and stuff like that. So I think we're a good combination.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Kyle, what is the most challenging part of your job at safety?
I would say just playing with my eyes, just knowing where my eyes are and knowing where they need to be, because the offense does a great job at taking your eyes this way when they want to go that way. So that's something I learned my freshman year. I learned it the hard way in practice and in games, and I feel like I have improved on it, but I still have a long way to go to get to the point where I want to be.
We'll continue with Pete Sampson.
Kyle, I know you're not much for like notoriety or attention, so I was interested like what the last, I guess, 18 months have been like, whether it be on campus, living by yourself, just sort of trying to keep a low profile at a place that doesn't do a very good job of keeping low profiles for 5-star prospects who are playing right away as freshmen. How do you sort of manage the everything else, that the outside of football?
Yeah, I mean, football is a big part of my life. Football, school, my family, all that. But I try to, once I'm done with football, once I feel like I've got the game plan down and stuff like that, I try to just leave all of that in a different space in my brain, just focus on being just a regular college kid, just hanging with my friends, just chilling, playing video games, stuff like that. I feel like that kind of keeps me humble, just knowing that I'm never too big of a deal. And at the end of the day, I'm just myself, and I don't need to get caught up in accolades or he's this or he's that. I feel like once I start doing that is when I start falling off. So I feel like I just got to be the kid that I've always been, and that would make me my best.
We'll move next to Tim O'Malley.
God, I wanted to ask you about Louisville's Tutu Atwell. You saw him live last year in your first college game, and now obviously plenty on film. What makes him such a tough cover from that slot position?
I mean, first thing I think of is he's fast. It's hard to cover speed, and you can't teach it. So we have the game plan around it. I feel like we will. Coach Lee and Coach Justin have set up a good game plan for that. But, yeah, I mean, when it comes to him, he's just a game breaker. Every time he gets the ball in his hands, he can go the distance. So I feel like we have – going back to it, we have to be great with our eyes, know where he's at all times, and try to figure out how to stop him.
We'll go next to Lou Samoji.
Kyle, when you were injured against Duke, what were your initial thoughts? Did you think it was maybe more serious? And just the time away that you had, both with the injury and then with the 9 or 10 practices that were postponed because of the quarantines, where do you see your progress right now after all that time off?
When it first happened, I was just like, I was just hurting really bad. My foot was, but I knew I was going to be fine. I knew it was just going to be really sore and stuff like that. And it kind of makes you appreciate the time that you're out there, whether that be practice or the game, because looking from the sideline, it's not fun, and kind of makes you feel like you just want to be out there even more. So taking that mentality out until when I got back, I feel like I just appreciate being out there more and appreciate being with my teammates, being with my coach and stuff like that. And in terms of coming back, getting myself back in routine and stuff like that in physical shape, I feel like at first I was a little out of shape, but I feel like I got back into it, and Coach Bayless and everybody did a great job of that.
And we'll wrap it up with George Bashura.
Hey, Kyle. Last year, we didn't get a chance to talk to you, and Coach had talked a lot about the notebook that you carried around. What does that notebook do for you in preparation for post-practice and for the following week?
Well, we would first have meetings and then come out to walkthroughs. And you're obviously taking notes in the meetings, but usually in walkthroughs, nobody really taking any books out there or any notebooks. And I kind of realized as we're in the walkthrough, I start to learn more about the game plan than if we were in a meeting, like seeing it in person. So I feel like it'd be useful to bring a book out there and kind of take notes with what I'm messing up in the walkthrough, what I'm doing right in the walkthrough, what my coaches are adjusting and stuff like that. So I can have that to refer to and kind of set myself up for better play on Saturday and set my teammates up for better play.
All right, and we will wrap it up with that. Thank you very much, Kyle.